Welcome to Eastern Oregon. We have spent a lot of time in Oregon over the years, from the dramatic and rocky Oregon coast to the eclectic and delicious city of Portland, the stunning Cascades, and the seemingly endless waterfalls. But we have never explored the eastern part of the state. And while this region is often overshadowed by the state's more iconic attractions, it is still full of natural wonders. Here you can find small towns, dramatic desert scenery, painted hills, and even some lush green surprises. Oh, and some of the best milkshakes around. And over the next couple weeks, our goal is to experience this area for the first time and discover why it's worth a visit.
This is just not what I expected from Eastern Oregon. Kick off our Eastern Oregon road trip. We're heading to a place we've wanted to visit for many years, Leslie Gulch, and to get there we have a pretty long drive on a gravel road. So far the road's not too bad. There's a few little chunky and bumpy parts and there's some washboard parts, but overall it's pretty smooth for a dirt road so far.
We have definitely been on worse roads, and I would say the side roads that we had to take to get to this main road to get into Leslie Gulch were a lot worse than the actual road into Leslie Gulch.
Leslie Gulch is located in the Owyhee Canyonlands, a remote, rugged area that encompasses 2.5 million acres. It is one of the largest expanses of unprotected land in the lower 48, with huge efforts for it to gain protection. Within this region, you can find rocky terrain, the Owyhee River, a variety of wildlife, and ample outdoor recreation opportunities. And one of the most popular places to visit is Leslie Gulch, which got its name after Hiram Leslie, a cattle rancher who in 1882 was struck by lightning and killed in the gulch while working his cattle.
This drive is crazy.
These rock towers are so tall and so close to the road. It is wild. Uh-oh. This might be where we stop. I don't know that we can do this. I wasn't expecting something like this. I think we read that there were some spots where there might be a little bit of water crossing, but this is too much.
Not too much water, just too many dips.
Yeah. There's some puddles and there's a little stream. Those don't look like a big deal, but there are some big dips right here.
We just met a woman walking the road and she gave us a lot of insight into what's to come. And she said this is the worst spot, but there are other water crossings and the road just gets a lot rougher. And she said if it does rain down here, the road just turns into this muck that would be really hard to get through without 4x4. We did look at the forecast and it's not supposed to rain today, but it has rained over the last few days, so I don't know. She did not make us feel like we can go much further than this. She made it seem like we might have some troubles. So I think we'll scope this out and just see.
So we've gone back and forth whether we want to do this or not. We've actually been sitting here for over an hour. We've made lunch and everything, and the whole time we were thinking, no, we're not gonna do it. But we went and checked it out again, and I think we can do it. We've seen cars come and go, even a truck pulling a boat on a trailer, and they can do it. So I think we're gonna send it. We're just gonna do it and hope for the best.
This isn't that bad. Kind of nervous.
Take my glasses off so you can see the fear in my eyes.
Oh my gosh.
That wasn't so bad at all.
Yeah,
actually.
it really wasn't.
No.
I'm really glad we did not chicken out, but the problem is we don't really know what's ahead. We know there are more water crossings, but the multiple people we've talked to have assured us that this was the worst one. So fingers crossed we can keep going.
All right, we got another water crossing. This one's not anything like that one.
While you can see most of this area's scenery just by driving, to get a closer look at it and get all up in it, we're gonna hike the Juniper Gulch Trail.
The rocks out here are so interesting. For starters, they are the craziest shapes, and then they have tons of holes through them. Some of them are a hole all the way through, and some are just a hole inside the rock, but no two rocks are the same. Everywhere you look, it's just a little different.
This trail has not been the easiest to follow at times. We've gotten turned around and gone down the wrong way, so make sure to have the All Trails map downloaded. It has helped us big time. And also, the last part of this trail supposedly gets very, very steep. According to the map, there will be a 50% grade at times. All of these vibrant orange jagged rocks against the smooth and rolling light green hills is just such a cool mix of textures and colors. It is so beautiful here. It's very different than anywhere we've been.
As you get deeper into the canyon, the spires get more isolated and pointy, and just the scenery overall is even more dramatic.
It just gets better and better around every single corner.
I think we can do it. I hope so. I heard the back bumper hit the ground a little bit. I'm gonna go check it out. I think we're all good. The mud flap on the driver's side, it was already kind of cracked, but I think it took a little bit more damage.
Whoops.
Whoops.
So our goal is to camp out here tonight, and within Leslie Gulch there's an area of critical environmental concern, and within that area you're only allowed to camp at the designated sites at the free campground that they have. However, just across from this free campground is an overflow lot which is outside of this area, so you are allowed to camp there if the campground is full. Our goal is to camp in the campground, but we're getting here kind of later in the day, and we've seen a handful of cars out here, so I'm not totally sure if we're gonna snag a spot or not.
I think we got the last open spot. We've come down to the Owyhee Reservoir for sunset, and this reservoir is located on the Owyhee River, which is named after 3 Hawaiians who were dispatched by a fur trading company in 1819 to explore the river. Unfortunately, they either got lost or were killed, and so many people began to refer to the river and the surrounding area as Owyhee, which is an old phonetic and English spelling of Hawaii in honor of them. heading to Willow Creek Hot Springs, but first, we gotta get off this road unscathed. All right, this is the worst one in my opinion.
Oh.
Something squeaked.
The biggest issue with our van on this road is that while we do have higher clearance, our van is just very long, and so it's making going through some of these ruts hard without scraping something. So we definitely would not suggest bringing something longer than our van out here.
All right, and now for the scariest one. The one that looks the worst, the one that gave us trouble yesterday.
Do you want me to go out there and guide you?
Yeah, sure. We might have scratched the van on that one.
Seeing the van tilted to its side was giving me so much anxiety out there. I was just scared it was gonna plop right over.
Honestly, seeing your reactions out there was like making it harder for me. I was like, oh no. Yesterday going through that one was actually super easy, but coming back was a little more challenging. But hey, we made it. We survived. Woo.
Yeah, for some reason that made me so much more anxious today than yesterday, and I knew my face was doing things that wasn't gonna make him feel good, but I could not control it. So there are quite a few things to know about this Eastern Oregon road trip. First, most of the places we are visiting are pretty far apart. To get to the hot springs, it's only 135 miles, but it's going to take us about 3.5 hours because of dirt roads. This is also a very remote area with limited services and barely any cell phone service, so make sure you're prepared when you come out here and have plenty of fuel and food. If you see a gas station, it's probably a good idea to stop. Also, the first few spots we're visiting do have pit toilets, but that's it. There's no drinking water, there are no trash cans, so when you come out here, make sure you have plenty of water and pack out all of your trash. And finally, something we did not know is that Oregon actually has 2 time zones. We always thought all of Oregon was on Pacific time, but there's a very small area near Leslie Gulch that's actually on Mountain time, and today we'll be crossing into Pacific time, which I think we'll be on for the rest of this road trip.
All right, it's back to the gravel roads. I've been airing down the tires and I think it's been helping. It's still bumpy, but I'm sure it helps a little bit. There are quite a few hot springs out here in Eastern Oregon, some of which have a fee, but this one is free and it has a free campground. There's a few people out here, so hopefully we can find a good window for a soak. Yeah, that is warm. Oh, that feels nice.
So there are 2 different pools here. There's one that's quite a bit larger and cooler, but it is a bit murky. And there's the one we're in, which is smaller and hotter, and it has much clearer water. You can actually look down and see the bubbles coming up from underground.
Now it's milkshake time, baby.
I'm so excited!
Even though we're basically out in the middle of nowhere, there is a small spot here called the Field Station General Store, which is said to have some amazing milkshakes. They've already sold over 1,600 milkshakes this year, and I think last year they sold 8,000, and we could not pass up the chance to try world famous milkshakes.
So they have a bunch of different flavors you can get, and you can mix and match however you want, and we got Reese's and caramel, and you can't go wrong with either of those.
It looks so thick.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. So thick and so creamy. Oh man. One of the best milkshakes I've ever had, I think.
Reese's and ice cream is my favorite combination of all time. It just tastes like a much better Reese's Blizzard. So fun fact about me, I actually used to be a professional milkshake maker. My first job ever was at an ice cream shop, and I made so many milkshakes. And then my second job, which is where we met, I also made milkshakes. So I guess you could say my milkshake brought this boy to the yard.
You got that right.
Well, let's just say I'm kind of a milkshake snob, and in my opinion, the best milkshakes are the ones that are hand spun, just like this. And yeah, this is absolutely incredible.
While you may think of waterfalls on the coast when you think of Oregon, nearly half of the state is desert, and we're currently on our way to the Alvord Desert, which you can actually drive on if the conditions are good.
This is pretty wild. There is a lot of water on it. We're a bit higher from it, but you can see all the way across, and that is a massive desert.
It's just so vast.
The Alvord Desert is a 7-mile wide and 12-mile long dry lake bed, or playa, where tens of thousands of years ago, a lake almost 200 feet deep once stood. It only gets about 7 inches of rain per year, making it one of the driest places in Oregon. Well, maybe not today, though.
So a few things I find interesting now that we're out here is, one, the texture of the ground and the patterns that you see. I love it because it looks like an eggshell. So like when you're trying to crack a hard-boiled egg, every time you step, it just cracks and fragments into even smaller pieces. I also love the contrast between this desert and then you have a really tall mountain over there that is snow-capped. It kind of reminds me of Badwater Basin in Death Valley National Park. And then finally, I still can't get over how much water is out here. I did not expect this much water. I expected maybe a puddle here or there, but there's a lot of water out here, and we got kind of close to it, and Kona and I were stepping in it, and it gets super mucky, and you know, you take a couple steps and you just have so much mud caked on the bottom of your shoe. It's like super heavy to walk.
The water is creating the most beautiful reflections though. You can just see the sky and the mountains reflecting onto it. It kind of looks like a mirage, but it's not, because there's actually water there, but it just looks fake because it's so perfect looking. And we had read that the playa is driest between July and November, and we're here at the end of May. And as we mentioned, you can actually drive out here. We have seen some cars driving out here, and you can camp out here for free for the night. And that was our original plan, and there are areas that are dry enough that we could camp out here, but the problem is the access road to get down has a really, really large rut, and we just don't really think the van can do it, and we feel like we've been pushing our luck a little bit with some of the ruts, so we don't want to risk it. But thankfully, we found a campsite just a little bit above the playa that still gives us the views of the desert, but without the risk of something happening to the van.
Tonight for dinner, we're making a recipe from Dollar Recipe Club, which is a recipe website that our friends started. For $1 a month, you get access to over 1,000 recipes, all without any ads or long stories. You can search by category and filter by meal type, time, and dietary restrictions, making it easy to narrow down your options. And you can save your favorites to easily come back to them. We struggled with what to choose to make tonight because so many of the recipes looked amazing and van kitchen friendly. The other night we made their Crunch Wrap recipe, which was one of our go-to Taco Bell orders growing up. And tonight we decided to make a chicken Alfredo soup.
It smells really good. It is very, very hot though.
Some cheese hanging down.
Oh, that's really good. It is creamy, cheesy. You have that kind of that little bite from the kale that we added to it, a little freshness.
I think this chef has a Michelin star coming. It has the chicken Alfredo flavor, but in a soup form. Perfect, spot on.
A big thank you to Dollar Recipe Club for sponsoring this video, and if you want to try this recipe or any of their other recipes, head to dollarrecipeclub.com, and they even have a free recipe that you can try before signing up.
When we got up this morning, we looked out the window. We were like, is there more water? It was still really dark. And we saw this red truck camper out here. And it's like, it looks like it has a reflection underneath it. It wouldn't have that if there wasn't water there. Now that it's gotten brighter and we've walked down here, there is so much more water down here. Yesterday, we were walking all the way out there past that red truck, running around, and it was super dry. Where did all this water come from? I'm so confused. It's like slightly sprinkling right now, but I don't remember it raining overnight or anything. I don't know where this water is coming from. And I don't know what these people are gonna do that are camped out there.
This is absolutely crazy. We were not expecting to see this morning, and I am just so grateful that we decided not to camp out here, because there were a lot of dry spots and it looked very campable. We would have been so screwed. Thank you, Rut, for stopping us from driving out onto the desert. If this was not here, we would have definitely driven out there last night. Oh, never been so thankful for a muddy rut.
It's pretty cool for us though. Yesterday we had a view of a massive dry lake bed, and today we have a lake view. So we're kind of getting the best of both worlds.
We had hoped that from here we could drive to the top of Steens Mountain, but as you can see, there's still some snow up there and the road to the top is not open yet. And that's kind of the downside of when we chose to visit this area, is that some areas, kind of like driving out on the desert and going up there, aren't really the best to do this time of year. You kind of have to wait till later, but I'm really glad we did not come here in the summer, because I cannot imagine just how hot it gets out here. So instead, we're going to make the almost 5-hour drive north to our next destination, the Grande Fossil Beds National Monument. This monument has 3 units, and we'll be exploring 2 of them tomorrow, starting with the Painted Hills unit, which is the most popular. The Painted Hills are one of the 7 wonders of Oregon, along with Crater Lake, Mount Hood, the Oregon Coast, Columbia River Gorge, Smith Rock, and the Wallowa Mountains, which all showcase the diverse scenery across the state. And the Painted Hills are known for their colorful bands of volcanic ash, with the colors being determined by different changes in the climate over millions of years. The red hues are due to warmer, wetter periods, while the cooler and drier periods created a yellow hue.
The bands of colors on the hills reminds us a lot of Rainbow Mountain in Peru. Not as many colors and not nearly as big, but still really cool.
There are a handful of super short trails in this unit of the park, and for our first stop this morning, we went to the Painted Hills Overlook, but to get down into the Painted Hills, we're now hiking the Painted Cove Trail.
I'm loving all the colors along this trail. There's so many reds and pinks and whites and oranges, green from the trees, and then so many shades of yellow from the different wildflowers that are out here. And also the texture on these hills is so interesting to look at. It's just kind of cracked and kind of looks like scales, like on a lizard or a reptile.
For the rest of the day, we're heading to the Sheep Rock unit of the park with the main goal of experiencing the fossil part of Grande fossil beds.
The Grande strata is home to the richest fossil beds in Oregon, and located in the Sheep Rock unit is the Thomas Condon Visitor Center, which is named after Oregon's first state geologist and the first person to identify this region as a world-class paleontology site. And inside you can find over 500 fossil specimens ranging from plants to bugs to mammals that no longer exist, plus colorful scientific murals to help you imagine what the area might have looked like many years ago.
The fossils in here are so cool. I've never seen so many fossils at once in my entire life. But what may be even cooler is they actually have a paleontology lab in here. And on some days you can watch paleontologists work. Unfortunately, it's Memorial Day, so I think they have the day off. But still, just looking in and just seeing their workspace was so neat.
Similar to the Painted Hills, this unit also has some colorful terrain, but instead of the golden and red hues, it has shades of green and blue. And to see it up close, we're gonna hike the Island in Time Trail.
I don't think the camera's picking it up very well, but you can definitely see the blue and green hues spread out among the Badlands. It's not as vibrant as the Painted Hills, but it is still really, really beautiful.
It's interesting because as the clouds come and go, the color, or what you're seeing at least, changes just a little bit. It's more green when the sun is shining on it and more blue when it's more shaded.
Yesterday we made the almost 3-hour drive north to Pendleton, and if you're like us and are wondering if this town has anything to do with the famous blankets, you would be correct. Sheep raising was a big deal here in Eastern Oregon in the late 1800s, and in 1909 the Pendleton woolen mills began making wool blankets and robes. But at the same time, Pendleton was also known as the entertainment capital of Eastern Oregon, and to learn more about that, we're heading below the surface. Pendleton was located along the Oregon Trail, and with the arrival of the railroad, it became the 4th largest city in Oregon by the early 1900s. And while the city was booming above ground, underneath there was a system of tunnels and rooms that were utilized for various activities, like bars and card rooms, as well as refrigeration and storage for the local butcher shop. But there was also a large population of Chinese immigrants who lived and worked underground, due to laws that made it unsafe for them in town after dark. And while down here, they ran laundries, opium dens, and bathhouses, because being clean was a requirement to visit the many brothels in the area, like the Cozy Room run by Stella Darby. On the tour, we got to walk through some of these tunnels and rooms, which have been reimagined to look how they may have looked back then, and hear the stories of the often illicit activities that occurred.
That tour was amazing. Our tour guide Jackie was super knowledgeable and entertaining. She told us all kinds of fun and interesting stories about the underground and some of the cast of characters who spent time down there. And it was pretty neat because we were walking around town before the tour, and on the tour we were like, hey, we were just walking up there and we had no idea what was below and behind these walls. We've had this tour booked on Google Maps for years, so I am super glad we finally were able to experience it.
We haven't filmed many of our longer drives on this road trip, but every single one of them has been super scenic and way more green than we expected for Eastern Oregon.
We went into this road trip thinking that most of the drives would be kind of just rolling bare hills and farmland, and minus the Leslie Gulch area and Pendleton, that has not been the case at all. It's been so mountainous, so many trees, so many rivers, so many mountain passes. It's just completely blown our minds.
We've headed about an hour southeast to the town of Grande, and for dinner, because it's 4:15 p.m. right now, we're at Side A Brewing's public house, which is actually located in an old fire station. They have this small museum in the back where you can actually see old fire trucks, plus the pole that they would slide down, and some memorabilia. And I just love when buildings are repurposed and they still pay tribute to what it used to be, which is kind of going to be our theme of the couple spots we're checking out here in town.
So we got a couple things to try, and first was Korean pork tacos, which has juicy pork, crunchy and tangy kimchi, and a delicious sauce on top. They are super good, but what we are most excited for is their peanut butter bacon burger, and we also got it with a side of their dirty fries, which has fresh herbs, peppers, Parmesan cheese, and a smoked aioli. Has a spicy peanut butter on it too. You get a lot of peanut butter in that bite, and I love the spiciness of it. Just gives it a salty and a little bit sweet flavor. The pickle helps to cut through a lot of those savory flavors, and then the bun is nice and pillowy.
The peanut butter on it is very, very thick. It looks very different than any peanut butter I've ever had. Oh gosh, it's just a tall burger.
There you go.
Peanut butter sticking to the top of my mouth. Peanut butter seems like such a weird topping on a burger, but it really, really works.
Oh, baby.
Wow. They're exactly like the kind of fry I like, where they're a little bit thinner and crispy. Oh my goodness.
We weren't planning on getting dessert, but then our waitress asked if we wanted lemon huckleberry cheesecake, and we said huckleberry, yeah. Oh, huck, yeah.
This is a mega steep road, 17%. Come on, brisket, you can do it.
So the Grande is actually the only area of Eastern Oregon that we have been to before. A few years ago, we stopped here to camp in between some long drives, and tonight we are camping at the same free camping area that we stayed at last time. After camping in hundreds of places across the US, sometimes a new spot every night, it's always so neat when we get to return to a spot that we have been to before, especially one with this amazing of a view. But we're going to spend a couple nights camping here and have a much needed work day before we continue our drive east.
Before we hit the road this morning, we're making a quick pit stop at the Local, which is a coffee and ice cream shop in an old 1950s Texaco station. Back when we visited this town years ago, we came here multiple times to work and loved it and knew we had to come back. But our goal today is to make it to Joseph, which is about an hour and a half drive away and somewhere we have wanted to visit for years. The fly shop in town has a horse named Shadow that the owner rides in to work from a couple miles away every day. You don't see that very often, or probably ever anymore.
Joseph is a super cute small town located at the base of the Wallowa Mountains, a mountain range that is not only one of the 7 wonders of Oregon, but is also nicknamed Oregon's Little Switzerland for its rugged peaks, alpine lakes, and breathtaking eagle-cap wilderness. This is insanely beautiful. It is unlike any of the scenery that we've seen on this road trip so far. The mountains are massive and they have this beautiful layer of snow on top, and the water is so clear and blue. This honestly rivals anything on the western side of the state. I am just so happy to be here. Why would you do that? One of the top things we wanted to do here was hike up into the mountains, but unfortunately we're here a bit too early in the season to do any of the hikes that we wanted to do. So instead we're gonna ride the Wallowa Lake Tramway, which we can actually walk to right from our campsite. It costs $50 per person to ride the tramway, which we think is pretty pricey, but since we're kind of limited on what we can do here, we figured we'd just go for it.
Here we go. We're just zooming off. Hold on.
The tram takes you up 3,700 feet in just under 15 minutes. And every time we hit one of those bars, the whole thing shakes. It's kind of swinging the entire time. It's a really, really small car. It can only fit about 4 people, and it's very old school looking, so it tends to move a lot, but I like it. It kind of makes me feel like we're back in the past.
From the bottom, you can only see up a few hundred feet, but like Catherine said, it goes up 3,700 something feet, and we just keep going and going. Every time we crest a hill, it's like, wow, there's more to go. That's a bit of a rough landing. Wow.
That was intense.
There is a lot more snow up here than we expected.
I didn't expect there to be really any snow. I guess I didn't really think about it. So I wore my Alvords, which obviously have no tread, so this is going to be extra fun for me. This is just not what I expected from Eastern Oregon.
The views from up here are insanely jaw-dropping. This is the kind of scenery that you normally have to hike miles and miles to see.
Between coming up in the tram and just the look of these mountains here, it has a very European feel to me, and I can totally see why they call it Little Switzerland. They do have a restaurant up here, but instead of spending even more money, we decided to bring our own snacks, and this is a pretty epic picnic spot. Down we go, like a rocket ship.
I am so glad that we went up there. That was one of my favorite things that we have done on this entire road trip. But before we leave this area, we have one more fun activity we're going to do, and it's something that we have never done before.
This is so fun.
Today we are doing something that we have seen offered all across the US and have always wanted to do, riding rail bikes. We are going on a tour with Joseph Branch Railriders and we'll be riding along old railroad tracks from the early 1900s.
So basically how it works is you're sitting in the seat, you have pedals, you just pedal and it goes. There's a little brake here. On the way out, you're going downhill at about a 2% grade, so you don't have to do a whole bunch of pedaling, but when we get to the end point and turn around, we'll obviously be coming back uphill, and so there's a motor to assist when we're pedaling. The pedal talks to the motor, and once it gets up to 3 miles per hour, the motor will kick in, and that'll help us cruise back up to where we started. Man, this is so fun though. Man, we are like really flying right now. We're not, it's again 2% grade, but it feels like we're going so fast.
I'm not even pedaling.
We're not even pedaling right now.
Can't stop laughing. So they have a few different tour options, and we chose their 2-hour Valley Sites tour, which takes us through this wide open valley with farmland and mountains in the distance. We just have views in every direction.
All right, we made it. All right, now we got the pedal assist. We're gonna power back. Apparently the sensor is on this side, and so she doesn't even have to pedal if she doesn't want to. Passenger princess as usual.
Just kick back and relax. Just kidding, I am trying to help.
That was so much fun, even more fun than I thought it would be. It combined two of our favorite things, biking and trains, into one activity. We basically got to be our own human-powered train. For our final stop in Eastern Oregon, we're heading to Hell's Canyon. There's a bunch of spots to visit along the canyon, but we're heading to the Hell's Canyon Overlook because it's one of the easiest to visit. It's a paved road the entire way, and so far the scenery has been spectacular. Wow, holy cow.
That popped out of nowhere.
Dang.
We were just chit-chatting and I was not paying attention to the scenery outside, and Adam all of a sudden was like, "What?" And there was Hell's Canyon.
Hell's Canyon sits on the border of Oregon and Idaho and is the deepest river gorge in all of North America, with a maximum depth of 7,993 feet, almost 2,000 feet deeper than the Grand Canyon. And between its tall walls, the Snake River rushes through, which unfortunately you cannot see from this viewpoint, but seeing the canyon itself is still worth the drive out here. The landscape from this viewpoint is absolutely massive. Hell's Canyon has an average width of 10 miles wide, so that kind of puts into perspective what we're looking at here. And I obviously saw pictures of what this looked like before we got here, but the pictures do not do it justice. It is, you can just see so far.
We have wanted to do this Eastern Oregon road trip for years, so I am so happy that we finally made it happen. It was just such a cool mix of scenery. Every single place we went to was completely different from the others.
But it was a big road trip. We drove almost 800 miles in 17 hours, and we did this road trip over 2 weeks with some chore days and some work days mixed in. And if you can only do some of what we did, it is still totally worth it.
But from here, we are embarking on another big road trip, and this time we're gonna be going through 2 states and hopping up into Canada.